Hello, my name is Carolina Pombar, and I'm a pediatrician at the Mount Sinai Doctors Faculty Practice. This summer might look very different due to the coronavirus pandemic, but there's still plenty of activities and creative ways to enjoy it in a safe way. With that in mind, let's take a look at some ideas to make this summer a special and fun one for the whole family. Very simple things, hiking, biking, running, walking. You can go to the beach. Playgrounds have slowly been reopening in the city. So you have some options in New York City. Some fun ones would be the one in 85th Street and 5th Avenue, the Chelsea Waterside Play Area, Nature Discovery Playground, and Heckscher Playground. Those could be good options. New York zoos have opened. There's one in Queens, there's one in Brooklyn, as well as the New York Aquarium in Brooklyn. And these places have been opening with new safety measures, so it might be a good idea to check out their web pages. You could also consider for the more adventurous family to rent an RV and then have a road trip. In this way, you will have all you need in the RV. You don't have to deal with transportation, with planes, with buses or hotels. And you can have a wonderful outdoors experience with bonfires, s'mores, stargazing, anything like that. Sure. So the most important thing would be take care of the sun. Make sure you apply sunscreen 30 minutes before going out. And then you have to reapply every 2 hours or if you wear in the water. Sunscreen has to have two things that are very important. One is that it has to be broad spectrum. That means it has to cover UVA and UVB rays. And it has to be also more than 30 SPF, which means sun protection factor. For children, the mineral ones are the ones that are recommended as the safest one. So you have to look at the back of the sunscreen and see that it has as active ingredients zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. Of course, you have to use UV clothing to keep the child as covered as possible. Make sure the child also wears a hat. Sunglasses are also an option, especially if you're going to be near water because of reflection. Also consider avoiding the sun, which is the most conservative measure. And the worst times to be outside would be between 11 and 4, as the sun is very hard. And then remember insect and ticks. So if you're going to be outdoors, you have to make sure you also have a good repellent. Apply the repellent after the sunscreen if you're going to use both. The safest repellents for little children would be the ones with citronella, but the most effective ones would be the ones that have some other chemicals. The most recommended ones are the ones that have DEET, and apply it especially if you're going to go to a wooded area. Also use long trousers, shoes, socks, and check for ticks after you come back home by the end of the day. And of course, never forget about hydration. You always have to make sure children, especially infants, and why not adults, especially seniors, that they're drinking plenty of water throughout the day, especially if you're going to be outside or doing any type of physical activity. So yes, 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 absolutely, we have to follow all safety measures at all times. The most important ones are make sure the activity you choose will allow you for proper social distancing. Make sure you and your children are wearing masks at all times around other people. Make sure the mask covers nose and mouth at all times. This is no good. This is no good. Make sure you have sanitizer when you're away from home, and do also good hand washing whenever possible. Water and soap is totally enough. For little kids, you have to show them how long they have to be washing with the soap and rinsing, so you can sing the baby shark song or a happy birthday, something to make them realize the time they have to be doing that. Overall, avoid big crowds. And if you're going to participate in a small gathering, make sure it's with people that you know have been social distancing and complying with safety measures. High-risk activities would be mainly anything that is indoors and with a lot of people, even if you're using a mask. Examples would be a concert, indoor dining, buffet dining, cinemas, gyms. So as always, staying at home, limiting interactions is the safest way, but sometimes when you have children, that can be very challenging. So your home can be a very fun place with a lot of activities you can organize. For example, cooking. Cooking is a phenomenal way of spending time with your children. Through cooking, you can teach them to follow instructions and steps, trying to see what happens when you mix ingredients, and why not choosing different foods so they can try new things in their diet. Pajama party, you can choose your living room and you could transform it into a wonderful camp for an overnight adventure with some popcorn or movies. You could ask the children to cut some stars and planets so they can decorate the room and make it a night under the stars. Board games, you can have very simple ones for children. For the little ones, ideally 3 years old and up, you can use what we call cooperative games. I use it with my kids. They teach about rules, waiting turns, and also playing all together in order to win all together. So there's no frustration that just only one win. And then of course you can have more complex ones for the older kids like Monopoly or Life. Other options that are super fun is making science. You can go very simple and buy a science set. It has all the materials and instructions, but you can totally check in the internet or YouTube and make science experiments. The most common ones and are super fun is to do a volcano. You can use vinegar and baking soda. You can do tornadoes with 2 plastic bottles. You can also make slime, and children love that. Arts and crafts, you can use everyday materials like paper scraps, tubes of toilet paper, plastic bottles, crayons, markers, foil paper, and they can be very creative. Reading fun stories, watching documentaries. There's a lot of libraries that post it online, a lot of resources to use. Screen time. So it's not bad to have screen time, but it has to be regulated. And you have to help your child navigate options that are not only educational, but also fun, so they are engaged. If you have trouble figuring out which books, TV shows, or movies are appropriate for your child's age and developmental stage, you can check a webpage called commonsense.org, and that can guide you a little bit with the options. As always, use your best judgment. If you feel a situation is unsafe, just opt to do something else. Masks, social distancing, hand sanitizing, or hand washing still remain the best safety measures you can take, and they're pretty easy to do.